though I do many things, I don't do all of them at the same time. People always say don't work hard, work smart. But people who are telling you to work smart are also working hard. So I have tried businesses that didn't do so great, but I think you would only really know until you try.
Laju Iren is a multi-hyphenate entrepreneur. She's a best-selling author, 6 titles, filmmaker, 6 impactful movies, and the founder of Laju Iren Films, the production company creating content that's inspiring millions. Loving Amanda reached the top 3 on Amazon Prime Video. Her newest film, Mistakenly Yours, released via a trailblazing out-of-the-box virtual cinema, made over 26 million in ticket sales, making it the biggest paid virtual premiere of the year. Laju Iren is a master storyteller. Hello, Africa, and you're welcome to another episode of CEO Unscripted on Mr. Jegs Africa. This is going to be quite interesting because we're dealing with a creative, a businesswoman, multifaceted, multi-talented, enigma. She's the woman, the myth, the legend. I'll read her bio. I'm sure you already know who she is. Laju Iren is a multi-hyphenate entrepreneur who's built a media empire. She's a best-selling author, 6 titles, filmmaker, 6 impactful movies, and the founder of Laju Iren Films, a production company creating content that's inspiring millions. In just a few years, Laju Iren Films has become a force to be reckoned with. Their debut feature film, Loving Amanda, reached the top 3 on Amazon Prime Video. Her newest film, Mistakenly Yours, released via a trailblazing out-of-the-box virtual cinema platform last Easter, made over 26 million in ticket sales, making it the biggest paid virtual premiere of the year and the highest pre-sales of an unreleased film on a virtual platform. Laju Iren is a master storyteller. I need to repeat that. I know for a fact. Laju Iren is a master storyteller who empowers others to share their voices. Her company, Laju Iren Publishing, has helped over 40 clients become published authors through courses, coaching, and even ghostwriting services. She is also the founder of the Christian Storyteller Prize, a prestigious award recognizing Christ-centered stories. Please, welcome, Laju Iren.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. I feel like I should carry Baba SJ everywhere with me.
Baba SJ
Yes,
or Mr. Jegs.
That's
what you
Baba
call
SJ.
She
I
calls
was
me Baba
warned
SJ.
before this interview not to say Baba SJ, so I just wanted to say it once to get it out of my system. So I need to carry Mr. Jegs everywhere with me so he can read this bio. I like I'm very honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for coming here. We're very excited about this. And we call her A to ZL because she's a woman of many graces. Yes, she's a woman of many graces, dictionary. She's a woman of many what? Graces. Okay. So we call her A to ZL because she's a woman of many graces. She does many things, from directing to publishing, like we read, and all this while being a mom of 4. Amazing. She's also a pastor.
Yes.
All right. So we have a lot to uncover. Being an author, writing books, that is not easy, right? From making films, 6 impactful films, right, to having an award. How do you combine? I want to first start with that. I'm sorry, because it's something I need to know. You do many things, right? How do you combine these many hats? Especially because you're a nursing mom, right? And you're a mom of 4. You are a wife, right? No, she's a wife, right, of someone. But she's...
Of someone?
I'm
a wife to your very dear friend.
I'm trying to separate personalities.
And separate what? Hi, please. I'm Apostle Iren's wife.
Okay.
Please note with thanks.
So she's Apostle Emmanuel Iren's
wife.
One
and only forever.
One and only forever, as you heard here. All right. How do you combine these many hats?
I think I'll start with the truest response to that, which is that God really helps me.
Amazing.
I'm really helped. I'm not even going to lie about that. I'm really really helped. And then I have like a great support system. So I don't know if I would have been able to do all the things that I do by God's grace without my parents, without a husband who does support me, without my team, both my paid team, and then just my family, my parents-in-law, my husband, my children. So I'm just really grateful to have like a great support system, both paid and unpaid. I just really have like the right people around me. So there's a great support system, there's grace, and then the truth is I really do work hard. I think that grace was given to us, like Apostle Paul said, to just basically labor more abundantly. Oh, this is not a Bible program. I almost forgot.
She's also PL, in that A to Z.
There's P
There's
inside.
P inside. All right.
But I think that people always say don't work hard, work smart. But people who are telling you to work smart are also working hard.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of hard work involved in that. And then another thing is, even though I do many things, I don't do all of them at the same time.
I see.
So I think one thing I learned about myself early on was I like short-term projects that have deadlines. So if I'm working on something, it's most likely going to be a short-term project with a deadline. If I'm making a film, this is the time it takes to make the film. This is the time it takes to do publicity for the film. I was talking about my newest film, Mistakenly Yours, recently.
Yeah.
And I was counting how many posts I had done on Instagram. 105 posts on my page alone, minus my company's page, just for the sale of. But just for the sale, just for that ticket sales period,
Yes.
right, for 3 months,
Yes.
I had done that. So what I try to do is, if I know I'm going to do something, I try and gather all my energy, push it with intensity in a short period of time, and then I take a break, and then I pick something else. Or I might just do maybe 2 things at a time or 3 things. Well, I do a lot of things, but I don't do all of them at the same time.
At the same time.
And then I learn to prioritize what's most important per time. The thing about balance is it's never a straight road. If you enter your car and you only drive straight and you say you're just trying to balance it, you end
hit
up
a wall.
having accidents. So you want to be in touch with yourself, be in touch with your environment, be in touch with what your values and goals are per time, and then just try and navigate and bend to one end when to whatever end needs more attention per time. But yeah, that's it. And then I say no a lot. So I don't say yes to everything. So I say no quite. I say no to a lot of things, so I can say yes to the things that truly matter.
truly
So I think
matter.
that really does help me as well.
That's amazing. So have you ever had writer's block? The famous writer's enemy.
I've been writing for a while.
Yeah.
I wrote my first poem, I think, when I was 8. It was, "Oh, Grandpa, up in the sky. It's just too early to say goodbye.
Hey.
Why should we, when we're still mates, up in heaven, the Lord God's bosom?"
Fiki, what?
Yeah. So I wrote that when I was 8. I've always loved to write, and I started with poetry at 8. But then as I grew and evolved, I was exposed to other forms of writing, and then in secondary school I was writing too. But I never seemed to be able to finish a novel, and I would try throughout secondary school. I even tried in university, but somehow it was just unfinished. But then something interesting happened to me when I graduated, because I did mass communication for both my degrees. When I graduated after my first degree, I was sent to a newspaper house to work as a reporter. I never wanted to work in a newspaper house, but that's where I was sent to. What working in the newspaper house did for me was it helped me finish stuff. If your editor gives you an assignment and it's due in the paper tomorrow, day after tomorrow, end of the week, you're not going to hear I was having writer's block.
Wow.
You are given an assignment, so do it. Whatever you want to do. If you like, go home by 12. Just make sure that it's available as at when due.
Yeah.
And so even though I wasn't writing the kind of stories that I would say I really wanted to tell, working in the media helped me finish stuff.
Wow.
And I was there for 5 years, because after NYSC I stayed over. And then I carried that same energy too. When I resigned and started working for myself, I carried that same energy. If I can give this level of commitment to a job that wasn't paying me so great, for stories that I didn't always care about, how much more the kind of stories that I really want to tell. So one thing I always tell clients when I coach writers is, if you see writing as a hobby, you never finish anything. So you need to see writing as work. Because if you see it as a hobby, once you are tired, you stop. But if you see it as work, even when you're tired, you will go through. Yeah, exactly. Because anybody can write as a hobby. Just write, drop it. But when you see it as work, even when the energy has finished, there's a commitment to see things through. I always encourage people to go first for completion before perfection. Because if you write something and it's not perfect, an editor can work on it. A coach can look at it and tell you, okay, this is a way to improve. But if you never write anything, what is the editor going to edit? So I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. They want it to be perfect the first time. And you're not publishing it today. Do you understand? They're not publishing it today. Like, if you're writing a book, it's going to go through a number of processes. But if you can focus on completion before perfection, you're more likely to get stuff finished.
Wow. So, but some people say you should treat your work as something fun or as a hobby.
Is it that you will never
something-
work a day in your life? If you do what you love, you never work a day.
So I think it
You-
sounded
you-
like a myth now.
You won't work a day, you just walk
You work all
2/7.
no break.
No break.
Oh my
You know you're an
God.
entrepreneur now.
Yes.
You never work a day, bow. So the truth is that if you do what you love, you will work a lot.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur is like resigning from 9 to 5 to working 2/7. So it's just like the job will be more fulfilling, but you need to get that hard working. I can't even overemphasize that. You can do what you love, but if it's really going to be successful, there needs to be a certain level of commitment to really get it done and get it done well.
Amazing. So the writer's block can be overcome if you see it as work that you have to deliver. So you worked for 5 years in a newspaper company that you did not want to. You didn't want to work in any newspaper company.
No,
right?
I didn't. I think of all the options for media, working in the newspaper never crossed my mind.
So why did you stay 5 years?
Good question.
Yeah.
So, I stayed the first year,
Yeah.
and I was also doing ministry at the time.
Okay.
And for me, because then I was already dating my husband, and even before I was dating him, what is now Celebration Church was a major part of my life.
Okay.
So why I stayed on that job, one of the reasons why was because it gave me the freedom to still do ministry. So even though the hours were sometimes demanding, they were quite flexible.
Oh, I see.
And I didn't have to be at work on Sunday morning, because if I wanted to work I remember wanting to work in a television station at a particular time and speaking to someone who worked there who said, I've not been to church in 3 months. And I said,
Whoa.
this is not going to be me.
Yeah.
So I think that gave me a certain level of freedom to do the other things I felt that God was leading me to do at that particular time. And then it really was a training ground for me, because my writing did improve, right?
see.
So apart from finishing, there were really good editors who would tell you, maybe you should have put it this way, maybe you should have put it that way. So I think it was a training ground. I felt like I was supposed to be there at that time, even though that was not my original choice. But for that season, it kind of really worked.
So how did you know when it was time to leave?
That's a good question. I believe it was sometime around, was it 2018 or 2017? I just knew. I think I had a nudge for a bit that God was calling me to do more. And then there was just a stare to start telling the stories I had neglected for so long. Because another thing that happened was, in those 5 years, for like 4 years out of them, I wasn't really telling my own stories. I wasn't telling Jesus stories that I wanted to tell. I wasn't really talking about relationships the way I wanted to. I wasn't talking about just what I do now as Lord storyteller. I wasn't really doing it that way. So I think it was just time. It was just time, and I think that was just basically just knowing. I know there's no spiritual
It's CEO Unscripted. You're telling your story, please.
conversation. So I felt that at that time it was something that God really wanted me to do. Because if you ask, and even your wife was telling me recently about, I think she was one who said something happened to you in 2017. What was it? Like, there was just a shift in my life at that particular point in time where everything kind of really changed, right? So I feel like those 5 years were a training season for me, and it gave some stability to a young married that didn't have a lot of finances coming in. But I think it was just really what God would have had me do at that particular point.
At that time. So you just knew that it was time to go. That's good. So how did you know what next to do? Did you have to start something before you left?
Oh, that's a good question. Very brilliant question. And you might not remember, but you were a part of that growth in you. In fact, I like this interview because I'm going to expose you for the philanthropist that you are.
We're here for you.
So at that time, I actually resigned because I thought I was going to be a blogger. So it was Laju Iren.com. I had written one book before then that didn't really do so well. right? But
Which book was that?
it was Girl Cyclopedia.
Yeah, I
My
remember
very
Girl
first
Cyclopedia.
book, but I
Yes,
reprinted
yeah.
it again later,
Yes,
and,
yes,
and
yes,
it now
yes, it
became
did well.
it now became a bestseller again
Yeah.
when I did it. But when I first did it, didn't really do so great, and there was a lot I didn't know at that time. But those lessons kind of helped me later,
Yeah.
right? But then when I resigned, I'd already started my blog, lajuiren.com, and many of the stories I was writing on that blog, I would write them in the keke on my way from work, going home, on my way to
What?
work. Many of the stories on the blog, they were just I would
While,
write them on my
while
phone.
in transit.
Yes.
This person is hard work. You can't take it away. After working
Yeah.
on your way home.
On my way home, I would because I think I had a baby at home at
You
the
had
time.
had a demon.
Yes,
I was
yes.
there. You had your baby.
Yes,
Right?
so it was easier to just get stuff done in transit, right? And so I started blogging. So I thought I was going to resign. So actually do the blogging stuff. And the reason why I'm mentioning you was because I now needed adverts for my blog, and it was your company that gave me one of my first
Wow.
adverts.
remember.
Well, your company gave me one of my first adverts for the blog. But what happened was, so the foundational articles from my blog at the time in 2017 from Nigerian.com formed two of my biggest books, Dating Intelligently and Selfies with Bible Girls.
Wow.
Because the more I wrote, the more it became clear that it would be nice if this was your book. It would be nice if this was a book. So if you read through my blog, especially at that time, you would see like 1/3 of Dating Intelligently or 1/3 of Selfies with Bible Girls on the blog.
Wow.
So I started as a blogger,
Yeah.
but then I now released Selfies with Bible Girls, and it did really well.
Oh, it did well.
Yes, so it did really well.
It was different.
Yeah, and that was the first time I made $1 million in my life.
In
from
2018 or 2017?
2017 or 20, I can't remember. One of the two. I think I made it eventually in 2018. Even though, I think it was 2018 the book was released. That was the first time. So I made my first maybe 50K from small chops. Do you remember one time when you were supporting me that I went to see you to do I went to see you for trade fair.
Okay.
That was selling Gizdodo.
Yes,
Can you
I remember. I remember you sold Gizdodo.
Yeah, so I made my first.
And we sold some drinks or something.
Yes. I made my first 50K, 100K from that, and I made my first $1 million from books, and then my first 10M from, was it coaching or films? One of the two. But anyway, that's by the wayside.
As in.
That's by the wayside. So what now happened was the blogging evolved into book writing. And then when my books began to do well, I would have people ask me questions. How did you write this? Because I remember a newspaper carrying how I had written Selfies Bible Girls in 3.5 weeks. And I didn't see anything there. So when they now carried it as the headline, people were now asking me, how did you have this?
weeks.
So I was like,
That book.
that is and it's one of my biggest books.
Yes.
So it now occurred to me that, it's a big deal. So when people started asking me, that was what now led me to open my coaching business.
I see.
So I think in the line of obedience, more routes open up. There have been things I've tried my hands on that feel like the small chops business. And all the time I run a business called Nursing Mom NG.
Yes.
So I have tried businesses that didn't do so great, but I think you would only really know until you try.
Yeah.
You would only really know for sure until you actually try. So that the book writing thing led to to coaching writers. And then the book writing thing kind of also led to filmmaking as well. Because I had wanted to be a filmmaker years before. I think when in my final year, thereabouts, my dream was to go to America and work for Tyler Perry. Because he was making only good films at the time.
You didn't. That's by the way.
Yeah, thank God I didn't. But I never even brought up because I knew my parents didn't have the resources to send me to America. And then I knew I was supposed to be doing ministry here in Nigeria. So it wasn't, so I was like, anyway, let's start. So eventually, when I wrote my book, Loving Amanda, I wanted to make it a film. But then I couldn't really find anybody that was willing to try their hands on making it a film. And so because of that, I went to film school and became a filmmaker so I could make
the movie.
Yes, and then I began to make other movies from there. So it was really from one step to the other. It's a very beautiful journey. I'm grateful to God for it.
It is an amazing journey. So trying different things. So somebody would look at you and say, PL, an overnight success,
Overnight in Jesus' name.
But one thing that blows my mind is I don't like when I'm uncomfortable when I'm doing something, right? When I'm thinking deeply or having to do something creative, But in Keke, you were writing stories. You were bringing something out of your brain. I think I have to salute you for that,
Thank you.
sincerely, because that's a lot of work.
Thank you, Mr. James.
That's a lot of work. Then I can see a trend, like your strengths is just like something growing from writing, blogging to books, movies. You soon be directing. Like it's all like the same tree, and you're exploring, your strength. When you started writing, when you were blogging, did you have any point where you just said, I don't think this is for me, even if it's faintly?
So if you look at the things I do, you'd realize that everything I do is tied, even pastoring is tied in a way to storytelling. And it took me a while to really fine tune and decide that this was the hill I was willing to not die on, live on.
Leave on, yeah.
Yeah. So I've never felt that writing wasn't for me, because it's something that has been both a gift, a skill, a career, and a ministry. All
A
in
gift,
one.
a skill, a career,
And a ministry, all in one. So it comes naturally, and then I really enjoy it, and then I'm grateful for the impact that I get to make. I think one of the times I told myself I was really going to, like, I was more convinced to this film thing was I think just here there are a lot of people who, for example, attend a ministry celebration church. Not like a lot of people who attend now, simply because they first saw my husband and I on This Is It.
That's true. That is Dolapo.
Yes, Lola D's.
Loladi's short series.
Yeah, it was a series, and we're just at the end. There are some people who say, "Oh, I started following you when I saw you on." Just this time, I had this kind of partnership with Flutterwave, and they did an advert, and I was at the end of it, and they showed it on Big Brother, and I know people say that's how I started following you. That's how I became a part of ministry. That's how I decided to work with you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I love storytelling, and then I think that when it comes to film, visual storytelling, the impact is so great. The impact is so great. Like, I would always love to write books, but when a lot of people can watch your film in a day, than can read your books in a year, and you can get that impact out there more quickly. I think it's a beautiful thing for me. I think it's one of those things where I'm always out. If I want to do something consistently,
Yeah.
I find a way to make sure that the economics work, because I don't think you can take an industry without the economics. But it is something that I would still do even if money wasn't coming.
Okay.
But I'm not going for let the money not come, because we need
Has to
to
work hand in hand,
consistently, yes, we need to
yeah.
consistently get it done. But I've never felt that,
Have you ever looked back at anything you wrote or a movie you made and like, yeah, and cringed? Maybe I could have done it better. Or well, those were the teething.
Yeah. So for writing, I'm God, how to explain this? So for writing, I'm very critical for writing. And because I've done that for a longer period of time, I'm 33 and I've been writing since I was 8, so that's like 25 years. I can put that on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, writing for
25 years writing experience.
Yeah.
but for filmmaking, I'm relatively new. So of course, there are times when I look at this and I think, maybe. And then because filmmaking is not a one man, let's make it until it's perfect. It's a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
And it's not just the collaboration as well. It's also a financially tasking effort. So it's one thing to have a film a particular way in your head, and then to have a budget in your hand.
Yeah.
And so finding the balance between those two. So if I have cringed, it's not really because of the lack of capacity on my end or on the end of the people I was collaborating or working with, but most likely a budget. Like, I'll never forget, someone was watching one of my films, and they said, "Why are they always in this room?" One of my said, "Why are they
I know.
always
In this room?"
I said, "My dear, you won't understand. You won't understand, because maybe we thought we were going to make this film in 8 days, and it had 60 something scenes,
Yeah.
or 70 something scenes.
Yeah.
And then by day 7, we had made 30 scenes.
Hey.
And we've paid everybody for 8 days, and we have no budget to extend. So now we have one day to shoot
The remaining.
40 scenes, although we now reduce it to 30,
Yeah.
and one location. Everything must happen
In that
in
room.
this room. Because once you
Oh
start
my
moving
God.
company for a
Yeah.
filmmaker, that's money. Once you start, the time they will use to set up lights in one place, you better shoot everything there if you know what's good for you. so there have been those situations, and just all those cases of if you knew better or you had more, you do better. But I'm really grateful for our journey regardless. I'm proud of everything that we've done, even though we keep getting better with each work.
Amazing. So have you had to deal with difficult talents on the film set?
You did ask me for public.
Yes,
Jesus.
I'm asking in public.
Jesus, yeah.
You may not need to.
Everybody
mention.
I've worked with has been professional. Blink twice if you're lying. It's a small industry, so I have to be careful.
Okay.
But I'm grateful for every way that we've worked it. Sometimes people can be interesting, but we do the best with what we have. Next question, please.
So
Marco,
so all your talents have been amazing.
amazing, incredible.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
please.
I see that you're giving a Christian storyteller prize.
Yes.
You know, how did that come about and why?
So, how do I answer that? Good question. There were a lot of short stories that I had entered for before I really began my career and found my footing and got the direction that I wanted to go in. That's before 2018, before 2017. And I realized that many times it's not that this person's story is better. It's just that they address the issues that the people who are funding the prize want addressed.
That's
You get my drift?
very true.
Yes, so, and it's the same thing many times with film. Like, there's some films, when you watch them, you're like, what's even there?
Yeah.
Not like all filmmakers are hardworking people, please, don't get me wrong. But I don't want to sound cliche,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's an agenda. So I really did that because I wanted us to try and fund our own agenda. We have really good writers, really good storytellers, but they don't always stand a chance in competitions that have been solely made for the purpose of pushing a particular agenda. Right? So I think it's very, very important that we get our stories out there and that we reward good storytellers.
That's very beautiful. You've always been one to try to give back. In the name of casting, like you said,
Yes.
who knows have you eaten? Have you eaten foundation? You were giving food to many people right from school, not before school, right? But started in university, your first degree. And giving food, you were going to the north or giving to the north. You know, always wanting to give. Even you yourself, you said something, you said, okay, at that time your parents couldn't send you outside the country. So, not that you had all the money in the world. Why? What birthed that Laju Iren?
That's interesting. Nobody's even asked me about have you eaten in a while. Okay, my mom asked me a while back. I no longer run that foundation.
Yes.
Because I couldn't really reconcile being that person who was constantly soliciting.
Yeah.
So what I did was to adopt a couple of charity organizations that I now sponsor through my business just on my own.
Very good.
I don't even know how to respond to that. I think it's just a Jesus thing, and that's who Jesus was. He really did care about people, and if we follow him, it's only natural. I know you were going to ask me this one, no? I think it was really a Jesus thing, and then my parents as well have always been. I think up until recently, they still have people that they've been supporting every month for years. So I think just that example really did impact me, and then knowing the Lord from an early age as well kind of helped.
So what are the, because we know A to Z, we know filmmaker,
Author.
L, we know the author,
Pastor,
we know the pastor, we know the coach, we know
the
wife,
the
we know the mother,
ML.
we know the friend, we know the award platform,
Yes.
AL also. That's 2 A's. What are some things that you love to do in the future? I know you are a woman of many talents,
Yeah.
many graces.
Funny enough, I won't even lie to you. I think I'll just love to do more of what I already do.
I see.
I think it got to a point in my life where I really began to streamline the things that sometimes as you're younger you try a lot of things, and then you get old. I'm not like I'm getting old, like I'm in my 30s
We
now.
don't
We don't do old. And I've known you for almost 2 decades now.
Oh my. Yes, almost
Actually,
2 decades.
at
Yes.
least 15 years,
Yes,
right?
at least more than 15 years. Wow.
From when my husband was toasting me that year. I was remembering that time I came for our graduation dinner in CAF 1.
Yeah.
And I was looking for my husband. No,
Yeah.
it's not my husband then. I was like, have you
Yeah.
seen Emmanuel? And you're like, don't worry, wait, I'm coming. And then you went to make sure you found him.
Wow, I can't.
You were like, I could just say, she's looking fresh.
Oh my God. I need to remember this thing. I need to have like a journal or something.
Oh my God, but I think that anyway, as you get older, or at this stage of my life, I'm doing all the things I believe that God would have me do, or maybe not just at the capacity that I've envisioned.
Okay.
So I think it would just be doing more of the same. I think it would be nice to definitely explore more stories, but also more distribution platforms. For example, what we did with the virtual cinema for Loving Amanda and then Mistakenly Yours, it's unprecedented in a lot of ways, because many times you have a handful of major streamers and so many filmmakers, and so that distribution platform, there are a lot of bottlenecks just to even get to the streamers. But what we did, selling directly to consumers, and so we're not putting it on a free-to-air platform where they are paying us pittance for ads, right? But selling directly to consumers for a period of time. And so I would really love to explore that a bit more. But I think there are just so many stories in my head that I would love to tell. I think there will be that, and then definitely ministry, family. So I think it's just be the things I do now, but much more of the same.
So let's go to be your business, because while they are your expressions, they're businesses. How do you handle coaching? You're the CEO of your coaching arm. You're the CEO of your publishing arm. You're the CEO of your filmmaking arm. Are there other people? Do you have like a deputy and operations? How do you run?
So I have.
How do they remain profitable?
So I have a small team.
Oh, okay.
I have a small. I think my team is 2-3 ladies.
Okay.
I work with men because I work from home, so many times I'm in the office in my pajamas, so I always employ women. And then because I've had girls, I just had a boy, so it's just easier to. But my office is in my BQ. So I have a small team.
Sorry, let's scratch that. You have a home office. It's not in your BQ. It's PR. Okay.
My home office is in my BQ.
With your
At least I get BQ.
Yes.
So, but
good.
I work from home.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is focus on one major project per time. So if, for example, we're ghostwriting a book, there are some things I only take for the money. One of them is ghostwriting. Okay. It doesn't matter whether an angel appeared to you. If I'm going to ghostwrite your book, and I might do one a year, one in 2 years, because it's one of my most expensive services. But I only do it for the money. So there are some projects that are like that, where I'm doing this for the profit of the business, so I can pay these people and they can save up for their husbands or their marriage or their children or themselves. So we try to pick one big project per time. There are some times where we now need an army of people. When you're making a film, if there are 3 people in front of the camera, there are 30, 40 people behind it. So we now bring on more people for assignments like that. But generally, I have a small team that I can trust and that understands me. And then we just take on a couple of major projects per time, right? And then remaining profitable. So we just began to make profits for film, I think, in 2022.
Wow. 2 years ago.
We started in 2020.
2020.
Film. We started making films in 2020. So the first 2 years were not profitable because you are doing a lot of free stuff, so people can know your name. Brands want to work with you only if they know what you've done. But like, how can I do something if you are not? Do you understand? So
in their defense, a lot of people reach out to them.
Yes,
And if they were to
exactly.
spread themselves thing, they won't even.
Exactly. So I'm grateful for brands like Pretty Life who gave us our first 250K to make our first film
Oh
in the
my.
year 2020. Hey, okay. Right. So but we were not profitable up until 2022. And then even now we're in the red because we've had to make a lot of major investments in a film project. Do you understand? So and then now we're trying to recoup basically. But one thing I try to do is to make sure that I don't owe people beyond. So for example, for salaries I never owe, because it
Amazing.
makes I've worked in a place where they would pay you your salary 3 months after you work, sometimes 4 months. So I was like, even if I'm not paying you so much, I don't ever want to be in a situation where people are working for me and I owe them. It makes no sense to me. But if, for example, I have investors on board, I'm trying to make sure that I pay them before their due date. So communicating constantly. I'm generally a conservative person, so I wouldn't spend investors' money when I will not spend.
I know for sure that you're very shrewd.
I'm very shrewd, so it's even now I'm trying to be a bit more, like spend on myself a bit more, right? But basically, what we try to do is to make sure that the core things are important. Pay your people, even when you can't pay yourself yet. As CEO, as founder of the business, pay your people, and then make them understand that they are part of a vision, right? So if they don't have to sacrifice themselves just so that you can succeed. And I'm talking because I work with people who make a lot of sacrifices, but I think they also know that I'm interested in their growth, in what they want to do. If they want to take a course, if they want to take some time off, all those things, I'm very particular about them, because when it comes to work, I demand 110% because I give 110%. So I'm generally a nice person, but as a boss, I'm kind of,
You have to be excellent.
yes, I expect a lot more. So we can be laughing all day and all night, but I wouldn't take work that is less than excellent.
So you have a core team that does with in your publishing. So that team, that's a really strong
So whether
group
it's
of women.
publishing, film, or whatever, it's the same core team. And then if we need more people for a project, then we bring on more people for that project.
In business generally, maybe this like the first or the last question. What has been what has been the myth you've had to maybe clear? Like when you thought of, okay, when I'm running a business, this is how it's going to be.
I think that it would have to do with pricing, actually. It would have to do with pricing.
I've not heard that perspective.
It would have to do with, maybe I didn't understand your question, but if it's the way I understood it. So when I first started coaching writers, I was charging way less. And because I charged way less, it made the job, not even just writers, ghostwriting too. That's why now I say I only do ghostwriting for the money, because it's a lot of work. So because I was charging way less, it made the job much more stressful, because you're investing so much and seeing so little returns. So for like, there was a time I took a year off coaching, and I went to go and get coached. I called Tolu Michaels. I said, please, I need your advice. I think I was in a house in Port Harcourt, so we had a business meeting. And she was talking about how if you do your business right, then you can do philanthropy better. Because I was from a mindset of, a lot of people follow me for ministry. If I charge so high, how can they afford my services? I said, well, the thing is, not everybody is your customer.
So brilliant.
So there are some areas, so there are some areas of my life where, if I'm doing this, so for example, if someone calls me and they says they have a speaking engagement, is it for ministry? Yes. If I'm led to go, I will go. I don't demand anything. I think that you should treat people well when you invite them, but I don't demand anything. If it's for business, I have to check if it makes business sense, or if you are my friend. You're my friend, I can do anything for you because there is a connection that is beyond money. Do you understand? Or if I just like you. But generally, I think that we need to just be more intentional, right? So I think that would be it for me. Just understanding pricing, understand that maybe not everybody is your customer. And then another thing is, that don't give up thing. I think that there are some things you should give up. For example, Nursing Mom NG was a business I should have given up, and I'm glad I gave up. The money came in, I lost my own money, my husband's money. But there were a lot of lessons I learned because I'm very good at selling digital products. It's a film, it's a course, it's a book. Okay, books are not always digital, but products that have to do with storytelling, I'm very good at selling them. Do you understand? But come and buy clothes. No, I'm not. It wasn't really for me.
Yes.
So learning that, another myth I really needed to clear was learning that I don't even know if it's a myth, but one thing I needed to really adjust in my life personally was separating business from ministry. So there are some things I don't do as a business. For example, marriage counseling, because I couldn't find the line between I'm your pastor and now this is a marriage counseling session.
Yeah.
So I don't do it at all, right? So just really learning. I think being in touch with yourself is such a gift that you can give yourself. Does this really work for me? It doesn't matter whether other people are doing it. It also doesn't matter whether other people are not doing it. Does it really work for me as a person? And then I think since I'm a creative, this is also something I always tell creatives.
Yeah.
There's a myth that creatives have that your work will sell itself. That all you have to do is to do good work. Your work does not have mouth.
This is so beautiful.
Your work does not have mouth.
I want you to dive in. For those at the back.
You know, there are some people that maybe they got found by Disney and they did a film in Disney. Disney has all the infrastructure to publicize them, to sell them. All they have to do is show up for the work, show up for the you are independent. So if it was a book, for example, I'll tell my clients you are the CEO of your book.
Yeah.
Get CEO of your book. That means you cannot just write a book and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
You are supposed to also remember that there's a publicity department, there's a sales department, there's HR, there's public relations, there are different aspects. There's the bookkeeping, the accounting aspect. So I think that one thing creatives must know is that you really have to be the CEO of your entire brand. While I like to focus on my core, which is creating, I also realize that there's a business that needs to be run. And if I'm going to keep creating, I need to remain profitable, especially as an independent. So just really understanding that you're not just in a creative space, it's an all-encompassing assignment for you. Do you understand? So if, for example, I'm marketing a film, that's my job. My job for the past 3 months, apart from being a pastor in church and being a wife to my husband and mother to my children, my job has been to sell one film. Yeah. So I'm going to wake up every day with...
And you did a good job.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to wake up every day with, how do I sell this film? I'm going to look at the numbers. Do you understand? I just feel like we need to really be committed to making sure that not only do we tell our stories, but we tell stories about our stories. So it's one film that took me a few months to make, but I'm going to create content about that content over and over and over again. Because if I believe I did good work, then I should be as committed to making sure that the world sees it and that it's profitable so I can continue to do good work.
Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
One more thing.
That's not the last question. Hey, Jesus.
So, one more thing. This virtual premiere, how did you get the idea? Virtual cinema platform.
All of them are the same thing.
Yeah. How did you get the idea? Because this is profitable, right?
Yes, it is profitable.
And it's something.
It has the capacity to be profitable because it's a premiere, so it's an initial showing. Yeah. So what that means is that we still have opportunities to. So for example, for Loving Amanda, we did the virtual premiere, and then we streamed it on Amazon Prime. Okay. So altogether, then it was profitable. Okay. So this one is on the way to being profitable because we are going to license soon.
One of the things I'm even seeing is that. Okay, you're going to license to other movies.
No, we're going to license soon.
Okay, yeah, okay, the film.
To other platforms.
I was just thinking that for smaller creatives, people who want to start like a movie, they don't have like a big budget, maybe like a partnership with them, where they can come on your platform, Laju Iren Films. You help them publicize. You already have a network. 26 million in ticket sales. To you, and I think before we spoke, you were like, you didn't do as much as you wanted to.
Well, because compared to how much you made the film, filmmaking is expensive.
I know, but well, when you said, life, more or less, like life is in stages. There was a time you made maybe 50K or something. Then you kept saying that you made your first 10 million. Now 26 million is now like
No,
chicken.
compared to
God, when?
compared
So,
to how much you made the film, though.
so okay, maybe we can talk about it. You
Okay.
know, we can talk about. But you have a very good platform, right? I want to know how the idea came.
Okay, so how did the idea come?
How did the idea
So,
come?
I had submitted Loving Amanda to streamers, I think sometime 2021,
Yeah.
and it had taken forever. Those deals take a long time to get
Okay.
made. And I was just tired, basically. Like, so I spoke to my husband. I said, I'm so tired. And he was like, why don't you just do something on our own?
Mm.
So at first, I said, it'd be nice. Maybe since I don't want to go to cinemas in a full-blown way, I could rent out cinemas, right? Like the way we did, for example, for the physical private screening we did. We could rent out cinemas, sell tickets, and people could come and buy. But by the time I looked at the numbers, it wasn't making sense. Because the amount it would have cost to rent cinemas versus how much it would have cost to sell the tickets, it was not adding up, right? So I began to consider other options. Some people have tried to do this thing where they have their own streaming platform, and it's a good idea. But you have to remember that you are competing with people who have unlimited resources, both for advertising, for cloud space, and the ability to buy unlimited content. So you've had people, even within Nigeria, who have tried to run streaming platforms on that subscription model, just like Netflix and Prime does.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's impossible, but an independent, it takes a lot of resources that you may not have. And then the struggle to keep people constantly subscribed, constantly paying every month. So, for example, it makes sense for them to pay for a Netflix that has thousands of films. If I'm just trying to build my platform now, how many films can I really get and how much?
Yeah.
Right? And then I still have to pay for cloud space. Many times, I'm not going to build my platforms from scratch. So I'm using a white label that's costing me a lot of dollars.
Yeah.
So what we said was, okay, let's make it like a streaming platform, but just for a while. So that's why it's a virtual cinema. You buy tickets and then you can see the film for a period of time. So that way it still has that virtual streaming experience, but it's for a limited period of time.
Okay. So I want to ask.
Yes, Mr. Jegs.
You put it that way. So how can you, if a young person just going into movie making, or yes, let's start with movie making, right? How can I have my own virtual premiere and it will be as successful as your own campaign?
So if you're a young filmmaker, I would encourage you to first of all actually try to make films that are more affordable and build your audience on YouTube. Yes, that's what I would encourage you to do, because many times, especially for creative expressions, people might not want to buy from you if they haven't heard from you for free. So remember, I said that the first 2 years of filmmaking were not profitable.
Yeah.
We're making those YouTube films. And then a lot of people started making YouTube films that are quite profitable nowadays.
Yeah.
But many of these people are people who've like been in the industry, know people who are known.
Yes.
So I think I would encourage you. I wouldn't just want someone to just wake up and say, I want to make a virtual premiere for my first film.
Yeah.
The reason why we're able to do that is because we've built an audience. Remember, people have seen Journey Never After. They've seen the very first film we did, Love Is a Star. They've seen, so they've
Love Is a Star.
yeah,
Wow.
and then they've seen the series Journey Never After. So
Yes.
we did that for a while before we now moved. In fact, before we made Loving Amanda, a lot of people actually gave towards making Loving
Yes,
Amanda.
yes.
So it's really been a process, an organic, authentic growth process with our audience who have come to know, like, and trust us. So if you're a young filmmaker, I would say if you have people that you can collaborate with at the level that you are, and you don't have a large budget, I would say make films with what you do have and get people to even see what your movie is about. That's where I would advise you to start from. If you are a relatively established filmmaker and it's something you want to explore, I think I'll be happy to help in the best way I can. But it's just really about finding the right platforms. So basically what we looked out for this virtual cinema was we needed a white paper label. So in other words, we're not building from scratch.
I see.
We need a white label,
Yes, white label.
that provides those services we need, but we can now brand in our own way. So a white label platform already. That's what we needed. And then there were a couple of things we also needed. We wanted something that had data rights management, proper data rights management, because even some of the biggest platforms can still get pirated. But thankfully, for the last 2 times we've done virtual cinemas, we haven't had that issue at all.
Amazing.
So we needed really strong data rights management. We needed people to know that if you're screen recording this, is recording your email address and your IP address. So if you watch Loving Amanda mistakenly yours via virtual cinema, you see some tiny things showing on the screen floating around. We had tried to put it in one place before we realized people could crop it out. So now it's on the screen going around with your IP address, your email address, and many times even your name.
Wow.
Just on the screen there. We wanted a platform that people couldn't easily screen record or even screen grab. So it did require a lot of searching, a lot of testing. We eventually worked with a company in India that provided that, but it required a lot of meetings back and forth to say, this is what we want. I don't think we didn't show the film in 4K, but we wanted something that the quality was at least close to what the actual quality of the film is, right? Something that gave us the opportunity to collect payments on our own, and then add people up. So it was just basically knowing what we wanted as a company, right? All those things. There were some platforms that we found that maybe had 2 or 3 of this, but didn't have the 4th one. So just basically a lot of searching, right? And then you really had to be committed to selling. But you also really need to have an audience that cares. And I don't know if any of my audience is watching this. I believe they are. I just really want you guys to know that I appreciate you so much, because you guys have basically supported every single thing that I've done. So I can't even take it. That's why I don't know if everybody can hold a successful virtual premiere. I'm going to be honest, because the people that follow Laju Iren films, they are incredibly amazing people many of them have been with us from the very beginning. A lot of people have joined and grown with us. So I think also really having an audience that cares. And that's why I would encourage you to at least get your work for free out there. It's even possible that if you put work on YouTube, you might actually just really blow. Because YouTube numbers, the more viewership you have, the more money you have. So you might not need to do a virtual cinema. But if you do, I would encourage that at least you do have a strong audience, because I'm not going to lie to you, not everybody can get that. Some people can get more, but not everybody can get that. So have a strong audience, find a platform that works, be committed to selling, be committed to communicating with people what this is, because many people don't really know what the virtual cinema is. Most people know now, but I've had a handful of people. Virtual cinema was March 29th to April 1st. I've had people on April 3rd saying, I was not with my phone. I wasn't online. I wasn't. And we had to start explaining like all over again that this is what it is, even though we had done a lot of that in the initial publicity. So it takes a lot of education.
Thank you very much. And we end our sessions. This has been very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I had a good time as well.
Yes, very interactive.
And thank you for always supporting me and everything I do.
Thank you, PL, for coming.
Yeah, you say you should not call me PL. What did they say you should call me?
Thank you, Laju Iren, for coming.
It's giving CEO.
Okay, it's giving CEO. So, we'd like you to look. We do two things. We end with two things. First, you look into your camera over there, and you just shout out to people who have been.
We serve God by Spirit.
That's how we end in Celebration Church. Okay, so look into the camera and just shout out to those who have been there for you, who through your journey. That's how we end it. The second thing we'll tell you after you're done with this.
Wow, what's the second thing? I really want to know.
When you're done, you said you like doing one thing, giving it your all. So give it your all.
Hello everyone, this is Laju Iren, aka PL, aka A to ZL. I'm very excited to be here on Mr. Jegs Africa, and I want to use this opportunity to thank you if you followed me, supported me, prayed for me, wished me well, or you just basically liked me as you're watching this video. God bless you. I do want to thank everyone that's done anything to support me throughout my years as the Lord storyteller. Thank you for empowering us to tell stories, and we promise you by God's grace that we'll tell even bigger, better stories in the future. Shout out to every partner, every family member, especially my beloved spouse, my children. I want to make a request to my parents-in-law, my church members, my family members, members of the press. In fact, all of you are many, and I thank you and I thank God for all of you, and my beloved friends, of course, including Mr. Jegs Africa. the owner of this platform. Platform is what our parents call WhatsApp group. But that's by the way. All right, thank you all so much for supporting me. Signing out, but leaving in.
Oh
Whoosh.
my.
Wait to be leaving
Um,
in.
I'm sure I'll watch this over and over again and I'll be laughing.
Oh
So
my
the
God.
final one is that young lady, that young man who looks at you like, man, and thinks that you've always had it good, you know.
I've always had it good.
Yeah, actually. You know? Maybe not young, maybe in their 50s, 60s, and just want to embark on a journey like this. What are the guiding principles you're going to tell them? Things that will just, that if you tick most of these boxes, you have a better chance at success.
So the truth is, you will never know how good you are at something if you don't try. So make the effort, try. And then one thing I always tell people is, what defines you is not what you do, it's who you are. Because there have been seasons of my life where I didn't feel like I was the most productive person, where I wasn't making stuff, I wasn't making movies, or I wasn't preaching in this place, or I wasn't getting called upon to do X, Y, Z. But in those moments, my value wasn't less than my value is now. And this will help you because it will help you to appreciate people just as a whole generally, and to treat people well, and to also value yourself, because who you are is more important than what you do. That would be a good place to start, so that you don't define yourself by your work. I would also say that you should learn to back up your spiritual convictions with excellent execution. So maybe there's something that God has told you that you believe that you should be doing. Do the best that you can per time. Don't assume that the collaborations you need to be successful are far from you. Look around you. There are people who carry what you need in your circle if you just look far enough. Everything that God has called you to do, everything that's in your heart to do, there are resources around and available. So also learn to see the value in people, and that way you all can pull one another up. But see, the world needs what you carry, so don't be afraid to share it with the world. And while you're doing that, be sure to harness and sharpen your skill so that people listen to you for the value that they get from you, and not for the value that you need from them. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, just seek to contribute, to be a blessing. And there are going to be times in your life where you're going to do work that might not be the most exciting, but need but help get the bills paid. Do it, get your bills paid. And then in those nights when others are sleeping, get up and do the job of your dreams. Everything will work out in the end, so be encouraged. You got this.
That was so well put. That was so impactful. I would like to say a big thank you to you, PL Laju Iren.
You can call me PL.
Yeah,
Everybody knows I'm PL.
Yeah, A to Z.
PL, A to Z. Lil PL. Lil PL is my rap name. You forgot.
Lil PL,
Lil
yeah.
PL, yeah.
Lil PL, Lil RL, Lil Rapper L. So, we'd like to say a big thank you. This has been fun, informative, insightful. It goes beyond just the creative industry. Like, applying these principles to business can, tip the scale in your favor. So, we'd like to say a big thank you. On behalf of Africa, we say a big thank you for coming.
Thank you, Africa, for having me.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of this very interesting episode. We hope to see you next week. Before you go, please like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification button, and you'll be one of the first persons to see, our episodes or when we post. That's why you should do that. Just help us. Just help us. Just subscribe.
But you're giving so much value.
Yes,
so
it's so much value,
subscribe,
right?
if you know what's good for you.
Yeah, okay.
Am I supposed to say that?
So please, once again, like I said, I'm not going to threaten you like she did. So please, like, share, subscribe, comment, turn on.
Good for you.
She said if you know what's good for you. So comment, turn on the notification button, and we hope to see you in the next episode.
Hi, my name is Laju Iren here on Mr. Jegs Africa. I actually watched this show
Oh,
and
thank
I've
you.
learned a lot from the show personally. So
Thank
I
you.
don't see any reason why you should not subscribe because you're supposed to be paying for shows like this. So if you know what's good for you, please, I beg you. This guy is my friend, he's my brother. please subscribe to Mr. Jegs Africa because I'm begging you, because I'm threatening you, because it's going to change your life. Just subscribe. All this talk for one subscription
I'm
that is
telling
free.
you.
Subscribe
I'm
for
telling-
Africans, for the sake of Africa. So yeah, subscribe.
Thank you very much.